Another job that some folks think that you are certainly qualified for. Your party has not won the governorship in this state since 1986. Would you consider running for governor in 2010?
No, I don't think so, but I think whoever is running for governor has got to know something about jobs. I mean, this is a state where we really haven't added any new private sector jobs in 25 years. And we're flat on our back. And if you really want to turn around this state and deal with some of the big social issues that are confronting us, it's going to have to start with jobs, good paying jobs in this state. That was part of what I was doing with that strategic plan. We have no strategy right now to bring back some of the jobs that we've been losing over the last generation.
You painted a pretty grim picture 10 years ago. Is it any better in terms of how we create jobs in our state?
No, we got to do a lot better. But the economic climate is a lot better than it was 8 years ago. And there are tens of thousands of jobs that are unfilled. Good paying jobs, great jobs, Electric Boat, and Pratt & Whitney, Sikorsky, the social workers that we were talking about. We have a whole generation of people, Dennis, that are beginning to retire out. We're sort of an older population here. And this is why job training for the 21st century is so key to our future.
Is there a business or an industry we haven't thought of that should be in Connecticut or should be expanded here?
Healthcare is huge, especially as our state is aging. Green energy jobs. We have a new Green Deal plan for our state to get us to sustainable energy completely by 2050. Those are two areas that are huge. Bioscience, there's amazing research going on at UConn, at Yale, and our colleges and universities. Those are areas for the future, along with advanced manufacturing, which is very exciting, and aerospace.
Speaking of green,
I would just pick up on that. I mean, you want to play to where your strengths are. So we had the head of Google came in, and how do we create a Silicon Valley here in Connecticut? And then somebody said, we are the Silicon Valley of advanced manufacturing. We have some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world right here in Connecticut. So I'd play to where our strengths, starting with advanced manufacturing.
Yes, and we are an IT hotspot for the Northeast as well. The Brookings report highlighted that as well. But we need more young people that have that IT training and want to come here, especially now that we have Infosys.
Let's talk about, speaking of green, marijuana, because it is going to be a big issue this year. Do you expect it to be legalized this year?
I do. I think we're going to legalize it. That'll be voted on in this session. Look at all of our neighbors are doing it. You don't want to give up that market to the black market. That's not the right thing for the state. We're going to do it carefully. We're going to regulate it and get it done.
And we've led the way on medical marijuana so we can be a leader for the country in once we legalize marijuana.
On a practical level, do you see it where people can walk down public streets and smoke, or they have to go to a special store to buy it, or they can only smoke in their own property?
Well, we had the Criminal Justice Reform Group was just speaking to Susan and I, and we said, what are models that we should look at? They said, look at Massachusetts, look at California, look at how that played into criminal justice reform and expunging people's records for a marijuana type offense. I think it's going to be done in a private environment, not walking around the streets. I don't see that in a lot of other locations either. We'll be very careful about marketing. You know, I want to do this carefully and slowly, but get it done.
Let's talk about tolls a little bit, because you had said during the campaign that you were for trucks-only tolls in our state. Do you expect that to pass this year? Because there are some liberal Democrats who want tolls everywhere.
I expect we're going to pass trucks-only tolls. I think we get that done. I think I can get some bipartisan support for it. I've got the business community is very strongly in favor of it. And that's what I said we wanted to do. It will represent about $250 million in income that we can use to fix our roads and speed up our rates.
And that's going to be huge for investing in our crumbling transportation infrastructure. We need to do so much more in terms of public transportation, fixing the 338 deficient bridges in our state. We've got a lot to do, and we're excited about our new transportation commissioner who has a background with Metro North and public transportation.
Do you foresee sitting down with the Pequots and the Mohegans to discuss perhaps expanding casino gambling and perhaps opening up to other companies?
Done that.
We've already
sat down.
You've already sat down.
Preliminary conversations, and I just told them the last thing I want is this thing still to be in litigation in 3 years. That doesn't help you, doesn't help Bridgeport, doesn't help East Windsor, so we're going to find a way to put together a package that makes sense for everybody.
Are they open to perhaps allowing other entities to come in and do gambling here?
Could take a little persuasion.
I think it's key that we make sure that we preserve the gaming revenues that we have been getting from both casinos, so we always have to take that into consideration.
You know, one of the big things, we've had many mayors and state representatives in over the years, and they have said that one of the big costs that towns and cities have is services. In terms of regionalization, how will you lead sort of a new way of thinking in the land of steady habits?
So we had our shared services group come in, led by Brendan Sharkey, and trying to find ways that we can continue to incent our local towns and cities to work together. You know, I can do that rather than have each town build their own independent high schools, some of which are too small to be self-supporting. So if you want to build your own high school, that's great. If you want to collaborate and work together to have a larger school or a larger school system, then we'll fund it.
I know you've talked about increasing the fun factor in Connecticut. We've sort of joked about this the past year, so we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll talk about that and your plans for the big inaugural ball and the celebrations on Wednesday. But first, we welcome your comments. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.